right, welcome out. Another list in our continuing list of lists. This one is on test taking tips. Let's get right into it. Number one, get a good night's rest and bring comfort food. If you use the methodology mentioned in the previous list on using a week to prepare, you won't have to cram for a test and pull an all-nighter. So these concepts can work in isolated form. These lists can work in isolated form, but they also connect one to another, especially when we're talking about tests and papers, okay? They may sound heroic, but they rarely pay off. Also, if the professor allows it, bring a light snack and drink. Don't forget to clean up after yourself. Some professors and some schools don't allow drinks and food into the classroom, so you have to check on that. But they have something there, to cool the palate, to distract you even a little bit, or maybe to calm some nerves or some grumbling stomach, especially if you haven't had much of a breakfast. Always good to bring something with you. Establish a pre-test ritual. Don't ever just jump into a test with the amount of time allotted in mind. Take a look at the number and types of questions. Consider your attack approach. If a section looks familiar or easy, begin with that one. The harder stuff, excuse me, leave for last. Also, if you can, try to estimate how long it will take you to complete the test. Doing pre-test prep work is also a great way to calm the nerves. So you might be a little jumbly. So taking a little bit of time off, not a lot of time, because you have to think, well, I've got an hour, I've got an hour and a half, whatever it is that you've got. Just kind of take a survey of the land, take a look at the questions you have. What types of questions do you have there? Where do you think you might stumble a little bit? And then move from there, okay? And number three is a caveat to number two. Some questions provide more points than others. Preferably begin with the questions that yield the most points. That being said, you have to balance out level of difficulty and familiarity. If those big points come with material you're not that familiar with, you have to take that into consideration. Over time, you'll develop a better sense of how to approach the tests and testing as you gain more experience, okay? So these are things that most students don't think about these things, and those who struggle, and there's a lot who struggle in college. Keep in mind that any given year when college students are going off, and they say I'm going to graduate in 4 years, about 50% make it. And even of those who graduate within 7 to 10 years, about 70% are no longer working in a field related to the major. So without a lot of proper prep work, before you go to college, in the aggregate, in the overview, in the macro approach, what am I going to major in? Why am I going to major in that major? What courses do I need to take? Do I know what courses I need to take? Do I know where I want to work? What does that job entail? Is this degree, education, whatever you're getting going to prepare me, right? So, but it's all about preparation. There was not a survey, but some research done at Harvard. I don't know if it was a class or two, a couple classes at least, maybe 2 or 3, in which they followed successful students. And there was always a very small percentage, 5 or less than 10%, who were highly successful. And here, success equated with the monetary or income, salary. Not always the greatest indicator, but usually, if you're making money and you're doing well, you're satisfied, at least temporarily. I know money itself is not the end all and the cure all, and people do leave high-paying positions because after a while, maybe it's not fulfilling or satisfying. Their sense of purpose is no longer there. So they leave and they move into something else, something that even pays less. And I've seen it many, many times, done it myself. But the overall concept of your career, of what it is that you're learning and applying what it is that you're learning, not only to your career specifically. And people think I'm going to get a degree in accounting, and it doesn't matter what school I get that degree from or what curriculum I sign up for, what classes I take, what teachers. Oh, it doesn't matter because it's all the same. Well, it's not. Far from it. So this is why you have to do your homework, and this is why there's a lot of failure out there. There's as many different professors as there are different types of students, right? I've run into my share. There's really good professors, and there's really poor professors. Just like doctors, I've had some really good doctors and not so good doctors. So you have to pick and choose. You have to think it through. You have to do your research. You have to really look at the groundwork. You have to look at the startup work. You have to look at the prep work, the before work, the during work, the after work, and keep monitoring and modifying and observing and researching and analyzing, inferring, deducing, all the critical thinking stuff, right? It's the only way to go. You got to keep that brain active. You got to stay in the game, just like in sports. If you play sports, I played a lot of sports. I played football, baseball, basketball. Did pretty well at all three, as a matter of fact. But I learned even in sports that you have to stay on the ball, pun intended. Stay on the ball, and you have to constantly look at what you're doing and analyze yourself and update your skills if need be, or get back on the track if need be, or get remotivated if need be, or maybe go to the weight room if need be, or hit the track if need be, or push yourself away from the table, right? If need be. So it's work, it's effort. There's no shortcuts. There's no if, ands, or buts, or two ways about it. So keep that in mind. Learn what you need to learn. Students are often more concerned with grades than with learning. Yet it is learning that will last you through the years. It is what you learn that you will use in your life and career to live a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Look at learning from the bigger picture. It maximizes your true potential to earn, learn, and grow. And I've covered this point before. And I have and will continue to cover points that are important over and over again. This is kind of like what happens when your professor is lecturing and he happens to mention, he or she mentions once, twice, 6 times, a dozen times the same. He just keeps saying the same thing over and over. Well, it's important, right? So these things, if there's a repeating theme or themes, they're important. Pay attention, lock into them, really try to see what's there, decipher and discern what's going on, right? Decode. 5, it's all about speed and efficiency. One limiting factor is nerves. That's just going to happen. The key is not to focus on nerves, but the task at hand. I learned to do that. One of the things that I had a problem with growing up was that I was super shy. I'm introverted by nature. So I was not, it's not natural for me to just to go out and talk to people. If I'm going to have some downtime and I want to recharge my battery, in most cases, I'm doing it at home and I'm doing some reading, some researching, and some alone time, right? And if you're a social person, that's not your recharge. You don't recharge that way. You go out and you talk to people and hang with people, right? So you've got to know yourself. And I eventually came over my shyness, but it was only through a focused, concerted effort. I said, what's the first thing I got to do? Well, the first thing I got to do is look up, stop looking at the ground, look up at the people, right? And then I was looking at the people and I realized I was staring at the people. Don't stare at the people. And then I said, well, what can I do to make myself less shy, to be able to get up in front of people and talk and not fall apart? So I started doing things, volunteering. I did stand-up comedy for 5, 6 years, lecturing, talking at church, and in the public arena, everywhere and anywhere I could. And now I've spoken in front of people from a few handful to a dozen, hundreds, thousands, many, many times, 100 or more, 200 times. I lost count from way back when. So I've been doing this for about 30, 35 years, putting myself in situations where do or die, right? And I became so good at it that I eventually, of course, went into teaching, coaching, and speaking. So you can do that. You can turn a weakness into a strength. That's doable, right? A little bit of an aside there, but anyways, very important. You marked that one off too, right? Very important. Nerves. So let's take a look at number 6. How about those multiple choice questions? For multiple choice answers, make sure that you read through all the answers carefully. A, B, C, D, however many choices are there. Sometimes there are very minor differences between the options. Very true. The majority of time students ask why a multiple choice question was marked as wrong occurs when the student didn't look close enough at the choices, overlooking the subtle difference or differences. And I would say, and I'm writing that from experience, because I would say half the time, if not slightly more, students don't understand why a certain response was wrong and another correct, or maybe they don't see it there. I said you really have to pay attention to the minutia, to the details, right? Really take a look at what's there. Okay. And that's one of the skills that employers are looking for. Attention to detail, right? Attention to detail. Most of what you're being taught in college is related to skills, knowledge, and attitudes that you need in the workplace, out in the social arena, out in public, right? Don't overdo it or get sloppy. With short essay responses, make sure that you use complete sentences and that they are coherent and to the point. Oh, yes, please. That's a pet peeve of mine. I can't count the number of times students have thrown something down that I can barely make sense of. Such a response usually gets no points, so if you're neat with complete sentences, at least it's readable with a better chance of getting points, even if the answer is incomplete. For math problems, show all your work. You may get the answer wrong, but your work may show you know what you're doing and you get partial credit, all right? So it's about being thorough. It's about being neat. It's about being coherent. It's doing the work, being rigorous in your efforts to be as thorough as possible and precise and concise as possible, right? And I've been practicing doing this type of thinking or writing or working for 30, 40 years, right? I mean, this goes back to when I was working in the programming field as a computer programmer, which I did maybe for about 7 years or so before I got into the comedy, and then the last 25 years teaching and higher education. 8, stick to the question at hand. Bottom line, stay on topic, don't wander off or add unrelated insights, even if they are brilliant. Nobody cares. You're answering a question, right? Answer the question. If you listen to committees in Congress, they get kind of bitchy about it, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? Answer the question. Yes or no? Going Gestapo on the people. But they're looking their line of inquiry or questioning, like in a court of law. And if you've never, I've sat in a court of law and had been asked questions, and they're very stringent about the question they ask, how you respond, what you're responding to, what you say, what you don't say, right? It's like, well, we don't need to know that. That's irrelevant, that type of stuff, right? So again, most of what is being taught in college by the best teachers are setting you up, aligning you with the skills, knowledge, and attitudes that you need in order to be successful in career and life, right? Make sure you really understand the question. Most professors spend a lot of time being clear and concise in their writing, so you should be the same with your answers. Also, this isn't high school, so it's not about quantity, hoping some of it will stick, make it relevant and to the point. In high school, there's often a quantum leap from high school to college, and the differentiation between the approach to education, how students learn, what they're given, what they're not given, right? There's a considerable gap. So that's another reason, and no surprise to me, it should be no surprise to most people, why there's a lot of failure. Most students go off to college after high school, and it's just foreign. It's a foreign environment, this is nothing like high school. It's not even remotely close to anything I experienced in high school. In high school, they didn't make me buy books, textbooks. I didn't have to read. I was given handouts and I was basically given the answers through those handouts, and I would get all A's and B's. Now I have to read through the text. I have to decipher and code and research and hunt down main points and learn things on my own and use my brain intuitively, creatively, critically, right? You're not going to get a handout on the job, right? So college tries to set up an environment that is more practical, more like real life, right? IRL. Is it IRL in real life? And that's the problem with school. School oftentimes does more of a disservice than it does or hinders more than it helps. 9, get to the point, avoid filler. Nothing worse than professors having to weed through a pile of verbiage. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Only to get to the point in the last sentence. Say it up front, say it clear, say it concise, and say it on topic. Also, write legibly. We can't grade what we can't read. So again, I feel like I'm repeating myself with many of the points here, and not only here, but points I've made in previous lists and probably even previous videos of the non-list variety that I've done, coaching and college and so forth. So good things to keep in mind. Number 10, do your best, but don't wait too long. 40 minutes into a 60-minute test, I had a student come up to me to tell me she couldn't think of anything to write. I asked her if she had written anything, just a few sentences. If you're stuck, don't wait too long. Yes, your professor can help. They won't give you the answers, but they can get you out of a rut, even calm you down for a good go at it. Final point, if you finish early, don't leave. Check everything over to make sure you have everything and everything is in its place. Good luck. All right. So that's it on my end for those test taking tips. All right. I have many lists to go, so we'll see you next time. Take care.